Lindsay the Librarian here with a brand new season of the Book Report. I know it's been a long, hot summer, which is not just a movie with Paul Newman, but it's fall now and it's not really cooled off, but we're getting there. So, as usual, I'm sharing all the book and the library news you need to know about this month. All right, first up in library news, we are having our first annual library parade in Monroe on October 31st at 11 o'clock. So if you bring your kids to story time, or if you just bring your kids, then they can go between departments and trick or treat. And we're all going to be dressed up, and it's going to be really fun. Also, if you've been to Monroe in the past couple days, you know that early voting has started, so go out and vote. And a couple of big, exciting programs coming up. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The movie's coming out on November 18th, and we're doing 2 programs at the library, one at Union West on November 9th, and then one in Monroe on the 10th, and we're going to have some fun movie prizes to give away. All right, that's it for the news, so let's talk about some books. And I've got tons of books to talk about because, like I said, it's been a long summer. I can't talk about everything, but these are some of my favorites. All right, first up, we have First Star I See Tonight by Susan Elizabeth Phillips. And this is number 8 in her Chicago Stars football series, which is one of my favorite series. And it's been a while since she's put one out, so I was really excited about this one. All right, so a no-nonsense sports hero and a feisty female detective go head-to-head in this funny, fresh, seductive novel from award-winning New York Times bestselling author Susan Elizabeth Phillips. Piper Dove is a woman with a dream to become the best detective in the city of Chicago. First job, trail former Chicago Stars quarterback Cooper Graham. The problem? Graham's spotted her, so she's not doing a very good job of being a detective. And he's not happy about it. Piper soon finds herself working for Graham himself, although not as the bodyguard he refuses to admit he so desperately needs. Instead, he's hired her to keep an eye on the employees at his exclusive new nightclub. But Coop's life might be in danger, and Piper's determined to protect him, whether he wants it or not, which he doesn't. And then there's Cooper Graham, a legendary sports hero who always gets what he wants, even if what he wants just might be an intrepid detective determined to prove she's as tough as he is. So this one got a star review from Kirkus, Publishers Weekly, Booklist, and Library Journal. And like I said, it's one of my favorites. Even if you don't like football, you will like these books. It's like reading a really great romantic comedy. I have so many they're going to have to go on the floor after I'm done with them. All right, next up, we have another one of my favorite books that just came out, Haruka Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and for future reference, she's one of my favorite authors. So pretty much every book she comes out with, I'm going to talk about on this show. So get used to it. This is the second and final in her duology of Six of Crows. I talked about Six of Crows last summer when it came out. So this one's the follow-up. Kaz Brecker and his crew have just pulled off a heist so daring even they didn't think they were going to survive. But instead of divvying up a fat reward, they're back to fighting for their lives. Double-crossed and badly weakened, the crew is low on resources, allies, and hope. As powerful forces from around the world descend on Ketterdam to root out the secrets of the dangerous drug known as Jerdaparam, old rivals and new enemies emerge to challenge Kaz's cunning and test the team's fragile loyalties. A war will be waged on the city's dark and twisting streets, a battle for revenge and redemption that will decide the fate of the Grisha world. And this one got a star review from Kirkus, Booklist, and School Library Journal. Like I said, it's a dark fantasy, and the review quote on the back is one of my favorites because it pretty much describes my perfect book. Says it's Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones with a dash of 19th century Europe and a caper twist. I mean, done. So, and also I'll throw in it's very Dickensian kind of, Oliver Twist-ish. So I highly recommend it if you like dark fantasies that are very layered. There's 8 main characters and they all have a voice, and like I said, it was great. I loved it. All right. Next up, we have IQ by Joe Ide. The LAPD is barely keeping up with the neighborhood's high crime rate in East Long Beach. Murders go unsolved, lost children unrecovered, but someone from the neighborhood has taken it upon himself to solve the cases the police can't or won't touch. They call him IQ. He's a loner and a high school dropout. His unassuming nature disguises a relentless determination and a fierce intelligence. He charges the clients whatever they can afford, which might not be much, so to get by, he's forced to take on clients they can pay. This time, it's a rap mogul whose life is in danger. As IQ investigates, he encounters a vengeful ex-wife, a crew of notorious cutthroats, a monstrous attack dog, and a hitman who even other hitmen say is a lunatic. That sounds like a fun trip. The deeper IQ digs, the more far-reaching and dangerous the case becomes. And this one got a star review from Booklist. All right, next up is News of the World by Paulette Giles. It's 1870 and Captain Jefferson Kyle Kidd travels through northern Texas giving live readings to paying audiences hungry for news of the world. In Wichita Falls, he is offered a $50 gold piece to deliver a young orphan to her relatives in San Antonio. 4 years earlier, a band of Kiowa raiders killed Joanna's parents and sister. Sparing the little girl, they raised her as one of their own. Recently rescued by the U.S. Army, the 10-year-old has once again been torn away from the only family she knows. Their 400-mile journey south through unsettled territory and unforgiving terrain proves difficult and at times dangerous. Yet as the miles pass, the two lonely survivors tentatively begin to trust each other, forging a bond that marks the difference between life and death in this treacherous land. Arriving in San Antonio, the family reunion is neither happy nor welcome. A respectable man, Captain Kidd, is faced with a terrible choice. Abandon the girl to her fate or become, in the eyes of the law, a kidnapper himself. Exquisitely rendered and morally complex, News of the World is a brilliant work of historical fiction that explores the boundaries of family, responsibility, honor, and trust. Oh, that was a long description, but it got a starred review from Kirkus and Booklist, and it is also a National Book Award finalist. All right, next up is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, also one of my favorite authors that you will probably see again. And this is a dark urban fantasy from Schwab, and a young woman and a young man must choose whether to become heroes or villains and friends or enemies with the future of their home at stake. Kate Harker and August Flynn are heirs to a divided city, a city where the violence has begun to breed actual monsters. So when somebody does something horrible, it creates a monster. All Kate wants to be is as ruthless as her father, who's a sort of crime boss, who lets the monsters roam free and makes the humans pay for his protection. All August wants to be is human, as good-hearted as his own father, and to play a bigger role in protecting the innocent, but he's one of the monsters, spoiler alert. One who can steal a soul with a simple strain of music, violin music. When the chance arises to keep an eye on Kate, who's just been kicked out of her 6th boarding school and returned home, August jumps at it. But Kate discovers August's secret, and after a failed assassination attempt, the pair must flee for their lives. This one also got a star review from Booklist, and it's the first in another duology, and the second one is coming early next year. All right, next is Truvine. It's our one nonfiction book today by Beth Macy. The year was 1899 in Truvine, Virginia. George and Willie Muse were 2 little boys born to a sharecropper family. Captured into the circus, the Muse brothers performed for royalty at Buckingham Palace and headlined over a dozen sold-out shows at New York's Madison Square Garden. They were global superstars in a pre-broadcast era. But the very root of their success was in the color of their skin and in the outrageous caricatures they were forced to assume. Supposed cannibals, sheep-headed freaks, even ambassadors from Mars. Back home, their mother never accepted that they were gone and spent 28 years trying to get them back. Through hundreds of interviews and decades of research, Beth Macy expertly explores a central and difficult question. Where were the brothers better off? On the world stage as stars or in poverty at home? And this got a star review from Kirkus Booklist, and it was one of Entertainment Weekly's 21 nonfiction books to look forward to this fall. And it'll probably be on some award lists. All right, moving on to the second stack. Next one is Today Will Be Different by Maria Semple. And you might know her by Where'd You Go, Bernadette, that came out last year. That was a bestseller. And in this one, Eleanor knows she's a mess. But today, she will tackle the little things. She will shower and get dressed. She will have her poetry and yoga lessons after dropping off her son, Timby. She won't swear. But before she can put her modest plan to action, life happens. Today, it turns out, is the day Timby has decided to fake sick to weasel his way into his mother's company. It's also the day her husband Joe has chosen to tell his office, but not Eleanor, that he's on vacation. Just when it seems like things can't go more awry, an encounter with a former colleague produces a graphic memoir whose dramatic tale threatens to reveal a buried family secret. Today Will Be Different is a hilarious, heart-filled story about reinvention, sisterhood, and how sometimes it takes facing up to our former selves to truly begin living. And this one got a star review from Kirkus. All right, next we have A Gambler's Anatomy by Jonathan Lethem, who's the author of Motherless Brooklyn and The Fortress of Solitude, and he returns with a devilishly entertaining novel about an international backgammon hustler who thinks he's a psychic. Too bad about the tumor in his face. Handsome, impeccably tuxedoed, Bruno Alexander travels the world, winning large sums of money from amateur whales who think they can challenge his peerless acumen at backgammon. I didn't know world backgammon was a thing, but apparently it is. Fronted by his pasty vampiric manager, Edgar Falk, Bruno arrives in Berlin after a troubling run of bad luck in Singapore. Perhaps it was the chance encounter with his crass childhood acquaintance, Keith Stolarski, and his smoldering girlfriend, Tira Harpaz. Or perhaps it was the emergence of a blot that distorts his vision, so he has to look at the board sideways. Things don't go much better in Berlin. His blot grows worse, he passes out and is sent to the local hospital, where he's given an extremely depressing diagnosis. Having run through Falk's money, Bruno turns to Stolarski, who, for reasons of his own, agrees to fly Bruno to Berkeley and to pay for the experimental surgery that might save his life. And there, Bruno confronts two existential questions. Is the gambler being played by life? And what if you're telepathic, but it doesn't do you any good? So this one got a star review from Kirkus and also Library Journal. All right, next, we're almost done, I promise, is Siracusa by Delia Ephron. New Yorkers Michael, who's a famous writer, and Lizzie, who's a journalist, travel to Italy with their friends from Maine, Finn, his wife Taylor, and their daughter Snow. From the beginning, says Taylor, it was a conspiracy for Lizzie and Finn to be together. Told Rashomon style, in alternating points of view, the characters expose and stumble upon lies and infidelities past and present. Snow, 10 years old and precociously drawn into a far more adult drama, becomes the catalyst for catastrophe as the novel explores collusion and betrayal in marriage. With her inimitable psychological astuteness and uncanny understanding of the human heart, Ephron delivers a powerful meditation on marriage, friendship, and the meaning of travel. Set on the sun-drenched coast of the Ionian Sea, Siracusa unfolds with the pacing of a psychological thriller and delivers an unexpected final act that none will see coming. Got a star review from Publishers Weekly, and also the rights have been sold to a movie, so you might see it soon on the big screen. All right, next we have a children's middle grade book, When the Sea Turns to Silver by Grace Lynn. Pinmay's gentle, loving grandmother always has the most exciting tales for her granddaughter and the other villagers. However, the peace is shattered one night when soldiers of the emperor arrive and kidnap the storyteller. Everyone knows that the emperor wants something called the luminous stone that lights the night. Determined to have her grandmother returned, Pinmay embarks on a journey to find the luminous stone alongside her friend Yishan, a mysterious boy who seems to have his own secrets to hide. Together, the two must face the obstacles, usually found only in legends, to find the luminous stone and save Pinmay's grandmother before it's too late. A fast-paced adventure that is extraordinarily written and beautifully illustrated, When the Sea Turned to Silver is a masterpiece companion novel to the Newbery Medal winner, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, and Starry River of the Sky. And this one got a starred review from School Library Journal, Hornbook, Booklist, Kirkus, and Publishers Weekly, and it's also a National Book Award finalist. So this one will probably show up on some school reading lists in the future. All right, so finally today we have a picture book called A Child of Books by Oliver Jeffers, and it's illustrated by Sam Winston, who deliver a lyrical picture book inspiring readers of all ages to create, to question, to explore, and to imagine. A little girl sails her raft across a sea of words, arriving at the house of a small boy and calling him away on an adventure. Through forests of fairy tales and across mountains of make-believe, the two travel together on a fantastical journey that unlocks the boy's imagination. Now, a lifetime of magic and adventure lies ahead of him. But who will be next? Combining elegant images by Oliver Jeffers and Sam Winston's typographical landscapes shaped from excerpts of children's classics and lullabies, A Child of Books is a stunning prose poem on the rewards of reading and sharing stories. An immersive and unforgettable reading experience that readers will want to pass on to others. You know how I love books about books, and this book is the sweetest thing ever. I mean, look at these pages. I don't know if you can see them, but you'll have to check it out. I mean, how cute is that? It's sweet. So it got a star review from School Library Journal, Booklist, and Kirkus. Also, like I said, it's beautiful. All right, those are all the books I have to talk about this time and all the library news. It won't be so long before you see me again. I hope you enjoyed our fancy new intro, and we also have a fancy new outro that includes the books and the formats that you can find them in at the library. So until next time, find us on social media, and that'll have a slide so you can figure out where you can find us on social media. And as usual, keep reading, Union County.